Hello, Dr. Mahan, and welcome to my reflection speech. As you probably know, my name is Ayanna Mayfield, and I am pursuing a bachelor's in professional studies with a concentration in psychology. I have many dreams and hopes for how I want to use this degree in the future. I would love to work in a Christian nonprofit ministry or as a 911 operator, and then hopefully open an assisted living facility. The classes I've taken for this degree have not only helped develop me as a Christian leader, but they've prepared me for at least a facet of these positions. For my paper, I interviewed Ms. Amy Lyon, the new director of New Life Mission located in Melbourne, Florida. It's a ministry dedicated to helping homeless women and their families out of poverty by providing Christian counseling, Bible studies and classes, life lessons and skills classes, childcare and learning, and housing for even after the women complete the 1 to 2 year program. I was drawn to this ministry because of its Christ centered focus, its love and compassion for others, and its eagerness to make others' lives better. Plus, it was a bonus that there were several opportunities to volunteer, and this ministry is only 25 minutes from where I live. Meeting Miss Lyon, she was an amazing woman. Her past history of working as a journalist, an editor, a real estate agent, then an assistant to the superintendent made her a very unique individual. I admire the fact that she had become a director without even having her bachelor's degree. She reminded me of the wisdom of trusting God and following where He leads. During our interview, she was very kind, she was patient, she was very reassuring, and just really easy to communicate with. She had great self awareness about her strengths and her weaknesses, and then she also had the mental fortitude to not let bad decisions hinder her progress. But rather, she viewed these negative experiences and choices as lessons that taught her how to do something better the next time. Kosis and Posner viewed her optimistic nature in a positive light, saying that we as leaders should turn critical incidents into teachable moments, and she was amazing at that. She loved her staff, and she loved those that she helped. She mirrored Kosis and Posner's words that as leaders we must feel passion and zeal for our values and missions, for only then could we actually be attractive and inspiring leaders. For me, my years of school and the pandemic have somewhat turned me into a hermit where I would prefer to stay inside all day. But meeting her, she inspired me to want to try new things and get to know people again. In fact, now I want to volunteer there at New Life Mission. And maybe, if it's God's will, I may end up working there someday. Now, Miss Lyons was very flexible, yet she had her eyes set on future plans. She told me of New Life Mission's expansion plans, which included more land to build more houses for families, more facilities where classes and playrooms would be built, and a greater opportunity to serve the Melbourne community. I admired that she wasn't afraid of risks. She challenged the status quo, and it was certainly working for her team. But aside from that, Kosis and Posner, they named other benefits of challenging the status quo. They said that it keeps work from getting stale, it helps teams discover new ways of doing something, and it often creates constructive conflict. Miss Lyon reminded me that conflict doesn't have to be dramatic and bitter, and neither should it just be all of a sudden. Rather, communication should be consistent throughout the day, throughout the week. I would say that communication, encouragement, and gratitude are keys to making a team work. Speaking of gratitude, I was a bit surprised to rate the lowest on gratitude in the Christian character index that we did during the first few weeks of class. But the longer I thought about it, the more I realized that I had been complaining and worrying a lot more lately, and that taking the index really showed me where I was in my walk with God just in that day or that time, or maybe in a season, and it showed me that I wasn't trusting God, the one who's faithful and giving and loving, and who certainly deserves my complete trust. And then as I thought about gratitude, Philippians 4 came to mind, where Paul wrote to not worry about anything, but instead to pray about everything. He admonishes us to tell God what we need and to thank Him for all that He's done. Then we will experience God's peace. And that reminded me that I really need to complain less, speak more positively, and thank God for more of His blessings. When I began this class, I wrote that Christian leadership was making wise, godly choices that will also benefit others. It's modeling Christ-like character in all our dealings, and that is still completely true. But if I could add something to it from what I've learned this semester and this past week, I would add, I guess, a more practical, more down to earth definition, I guess, that says that I would think that leadership is living to love others and be loved by them, by our honesty and vulnerability, by our smiles, and by our peace. Leadership is offering others a place to sit next to you to grow into a healthy and well rounded individual. Thank you for this class. Thank you for teaching us. And I'm so grateful and I've learned so much. You have a blessed week.